So let's go ahead and get started. Before we get to the actual content, I do want to let everyone know that we are in the middle of the road shows. So we do these Project Con conferences. These are half-day events, and we partner together with Microsoft to provide half-day sessions. The next event is going to be in Massachusetts. So if you see any of these areas that are close to where you live, then please feel free to go to trustitgroup.com/ProjectCon18 and register for this event. It's a great presentation. There's lunch which is catered. It's a networking event where you can meet some of the other PPM community team members and learn some things at the Microsoft office. So again, if you're in the area, please go ahead to ProjectCon18 site and register. So for those that have just heard about us and have just signed up, I'll just give you 5 seconds about us. That we are a Microsoft Gold PPM partner, and we do focus around the areas such as thought leadership and driving configurations and enhancements for all the Microsoft 365 suite of products, and helping you reach business productivity and project management solutions by leveraging Microsoft 365 solutions. And then also we have this crawl, walk, run approach where we have implementation and deployment approaches for any level of the organizational maturity that you have. So I'll just get onto the services. This is a slide deck that we would be happy to share with you afterwards, so I'm not going to spend too much time on the services. At the same time, we're all going to be recording this presentation, so you can go ahead and refer to this slide on demand type of video. So I want to spend the rest of the time that I believe that we have the next 50 minutes for the actual content. So when we're talking about implementing a PPM solution, there's this whole series of checklists that you probably need to go through and make sure if a PPM solution is even right for the organization. And some of these questions that you can ask yourself is, are project and resource managers fighting over resources? Are priorities of projects, are they changing? And when they're changing, are resources being reassigned? Our senior managers, do they have the authority to approve projects and release projects just at their will? And projects are starting as soon as approved by senior managers, irrespective of resource availability. So someone says, we need to do this project, go ahead and get it done without any regards for resource constraints. Also, a checkpoint is projects are frequently late and or over budget and or do not deliver the full scope promise. So there's no scope documentation. There's no way to align whatever the benefits are to the scope that was first promised. And even if the strategic idea is implemented, the company sometimes does not achieve the expected improvements. So again, this whole strategic alignment with your projects is the core function of project and portfolio management. So you need to ask yourself if that is even something that's being discussed within the organization. Another checkpoint is that there is no comprehensive document or portfolio that links all the organization projects to the strategic plan. Again, that corresponds to the previous checkpoint. Another question that you should ask yourself is that the strategic plan is presented as a list of initiatives. The cause-effect logic tying those initiatives to the goals of the organization is absent. So there's no way to really strategically align these. At the same time, that the list of initiatives is not prioritized. So in short, if you answered yes to any of these, or if you're sitting there and listening to this and shaking your head yeah, then a PPM solution would greatly help out driving any of these so that they don't happen. So over the past century, the project management industry really has evolved to leaps and bounds. Organizational requirements in various industries really invoke the utilization of the latest technology. When you're looking to invest into a particular PPM solution, you were probably met with a whole lot of conflicting advice and wanting to know what's the best way that you need to enhance your productivity. I use this picture as just a joke, but sometimes when we're sitting together with our clients, they're saying, "Oh yeah, we manage our project on napkins." Well, we can also be managing the project in Excel. And Excel, I hear, is one of the most popular project management tools out there. I mean, it's really simple and everyone knows. Another point is that there could be multiple tools within the organization that everyone wants to use, and no one's on the same page. So the whole project and portfolio management industry has really evolved to kind of take you off the napkins, take you off the Excel base, take you off of being based in your own silo and bringing everything together. And this is what I hope to achieve to showcase to everybody. So, the simple fact is that choosing the right PPM solution, it's really not an easy decision. There's going to be a lot of facts that are going to be thrown at you from a lot of different vendors, and to understand what's right for your business, that's going to be the critical decision on how you go ahead and move forward. So what we wanted to do is to provide this webinar that arms you with this right type of information, and we also produced a report that I'm going to give you I'm going to give you the link after this presentation, so that all this information that I'm going to be presenting to you is in a nicely documented white paper, so that you can go ahead and study that. And at the same time, we also are offering a free assessment so that you can run some of these ideas by some of our subject matter experts, and we'd be happy to give you our opinion. So while we do want to stay tool agnostic, again, we are a Microsoft Gold partner, so this presentation and the white paper is a little bit focused in how Microsoft PPM is going to address all these key business imperatives. So just take what we say with a grain of salt. But the white paper itself is tool agnostic. However, as part of this, speaking of Microsoft, I'm getting all sorts of Microsoft Store ads that are running in this webinar. I have no idea how that happened. There you go. So something else to keep in mind is that usually for these webinars, I do some sort of demo. So the way that we're going to cover this type of webinar is that I'm going to cover these particular business imperatives. We're going to cover these are the 12 business imperatives: central repository, having demand management practices and capabilities, portfolio selection and analytics, resource management, schedule management, financial management, time and task management, team collaboration, issue and risk management, business intelligence and reporting, integration with line of business applications, and program management. So what I'm going to do is I pre-recorded a demo covering each one of these different business imperatives and embedded it into this PowerPoint presentation. So we're going to cover the business imperative, and then I'm going to show you a little bit about how this business imperative is covered inside this Microsoft PPM solution. So this webinar is geared more towards the Microsoft Project Online and Project Server PPM solution. However, when you download the white paper, the demo is obviously not in there, so that would be a little bit more tool agnostic. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into this. So one thing that I do want to cover at first is this concept of what is PPM. So very basically put is that PPM helps organizations improve visibility and control across all the different portfolios and align the spend with strategic priorities and drive the team collaboration that delivers the project on time and within budget. So you could see that this whole big, it's almost like a pie of portfolio management includes program management and project management. So theoretically, if you have a PPM solution, you should be able to have all project management, portfolio management, and program management, all within the same solution on the same platform. This all should be able to improve the visibility, improve controls across all portfolios, and deliver projects and drive collaboration, and again, align the spend. So there's so many different PPM solutions out there right now. I mean, we can spend the rest of the webinar talking about all the different PPM solutions out there, and you can go to Gartner and you can go and take a look at what does the Magic Quadrant of PPM solutions look like. I mean, off the top of my head, there's probably at least 10 that I'm thinking about right now. But when you think about it, is that the ideal PPM solution should theoretically bring together all the tasks, all the projects, and all the portfolios in one area. It should bring together the goals of all the individuals and the project teams, as well as really the entire organization. At the same time, the ideal PPM software should be able to provide the right tool for every job function that you have within this project management focus. So it should be familiar to everybody. It should be intuitive. It should always be on. And it should be this very flexible and extensible platform so that you can have visibility across all of the work and everything that you're doing. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's talk about the first business imperative. The first business imperative to have is a central repository. So first and foremost, the central repository is a collection of stored data from an existing database really merged into one area so that it could be shared and analyzed or updated throughout an organization. A central repository of data, or you can kind of consider it like a mini data warehouse, is essentially created by integrating all the data together in one location. So the difference is, for example, if you had a Microsoft Project desktop application, I'm bringing it back to Microsoft right now. So if you had a Microsoft desktop project application, you're just working on that particular hard drive. So what the central repository aims to do is have one location where you could see all of your project plans in one location. So here's where we're going to get on to this kind of demo screen. So what I'm showing right here is the Project Center, which is a really good example of this central repository that Project Online has. And what we see right here is the list of all the different projects. So the PPM solution that you have should ideally have the functionality to provide one location for all project plans. The ability that will be able to provide different views, as you saw that I just selected the different groupings. You should be able to filter and have visibility across different groupings like project types and project managers and project state and project departments. Ideally, since this is a central repository, you should be able to have the aggregated roll-up of the specific metadata, for example, like project cost. And because there is the central repository, that'll also give you the ability to report out of this location so that you can now report across all the metadata which makes the most sense to your organization. Okay, and we have over here is this next business imperative. So the next business imperative is demand management. And when we talk about demand management, what we really are talking about is capturing all the ideas that you have so that you can kind of staff it and resource it properly. And to be able to do that, you should theoretically have a unified view of all the work in a central location. Again, piggybacking off of the first one, so that you can quickly gain visibility into all the upcoming projects and all the upcoming operational activities and standardize and streamline your data collection. This really enhances all the decisions that you can make going forward. So what we have right here is let me just go ahead and play this right here. So this is our sample intake form. So theoretically, your PPM solution should be able to capture all the requests in a central repository again to gain the visibility. You should be able to standardize whatever data that you're looking to collect by having these configurable forms and different business case templates. And then you should be able to tie this together to a governance workflow to subject different types of work requests. For example, if it's a help desk ticket or maybe a project proposal, something along those lines, so that you can have different controls throughout different life cycles of the issue or maybe the project. So, it's really important to be able to standardize how these project requests are going to be coming in. Okay. The next section that we're going to talk about is portfolio analysis. And when we talk about portfolio analysis, we probably want to spend a little bit extra time on this one right here, because this is really important when we're trying to identify and select and then deliver the different project portfolios that are aligning to our overall business strategy. So it really is a best practice in portfolio selection to provide this healthy balance of this value optimization, which is really the alignment of business priorities and maximizing the ROI, along with resource utilization. So meaning that we have an understanding of the resource capabilities and availability. So together, when we put this together, it's really the best practices that allows PMOs to not just recommend which projects to undertake, but to really accurately forecast this type of project delivery. So additionally, we should be able to align the spend with the business strategy, so that you can have a much more defined way, so that we can go ahead and select which projects that we can move forward with. So I'll go ahead and play this demo, and this is showing the portfolio analysis module within Project Online. So in able to succeed for successful portfolio selection, ideally you should be able to define, communicate, and prioritize your business strategy. You should be able to score and assess all the different requests that are coming in, such as maybe cost constraints and resource constraints. You should be able to run these what-if analysis scenarios under different constraints, like the cost constraints and then the resource constraints. And you should be able to save these and compare and contrast all the different portfolios so that you understand your analysis. At the same time, you should be able to assess the capacity and then adjust the project schedules accordingly. That's going to really maximize your resource utilization across all of the planning that the organization is doing. And then at the same time, you should be able to run and model headcount scenarios. So in this particular demo that I had right here, we were showing you how to analyze the portfolio of projects against a cost constraint. At the same time, what you could also do is analyze resources and run that headcount model that I was just talking about. So this module that I'm showing you right here really allows you to take this next level of not just project execution that Microsoft Project is known for, but also bringing it one step higher. And when you bring it one step higher, this allows you to also do this portfolio analysis. The next section is resource management, and it's no doubt to anybody that resources could absolutely be the company's biggest expense and at the same time the most valuable asset. So it's really vital to be able to properly manage and obtain this optimal usage in order to develop and reduce all this workforce churn. So the right PPM software should be able to include these next sections over here. So what I'm showing you is the resource center, which again is another central repository, so that you could see all your resources in one location. And the resource pool will allow you to gain visibility and control. You might have a large team, they might work remotely, and over time it's kind of difficult to see who's available and who's not available. but the ability to really compare the capacity versus demand, which is the screen that I'm showing you right now, will allow you to understand early in the project life cycle who's available, what's the demand, what's the capacity, so that you can more accurately understand who needs to be scheduled for the project. When you're creating this inventory of all the resources and clearly defining and separating the working hours from the non-working hours, like holidays and sick leave and spring break weeks, like what this week is, it really helps resource managers and analysts determine the organization's overall capacity. So again, having this central repository for the resources and standardizing the resource metadata is really going to positively impact the manager's success rate. And resource management could be one of these key indicators into why you need a PPM solution and why you don't. And resource management is ideally on everyone's radar and a pain point for so many of our clients, where coming up with a resource management solution and giving everybody insight into what everyone's doing, when they're doing it, how they're doing it, is really going to improve the overall organizational efficiency. And again, just to bring everybody back to why this central repository is so important, is because if you are doing project management on a standalone desktop application, for example, like a Microsoft Project desktop application, or maybe Microsoft Excel, and you have resources, right, because you want to assign a specific resource to a specific task, nobody else in the organization knows what this other person is doing, unless, of course, you share that in the form of a screenshot, unless maybe if you organized a meeting and were able to communicate it. But having this kind of central repository and showcasing where all the resources are at any given time, this is going to just help with the collaboration process and drive more efficiencies. The next section is schedule management. And realistically, when we step back from our PMP world, right, and project management professionals, and knowing how to manage projects, really, regardless of department, employees of organizations are really managing some type of project as part of their day-to-day responsibilities. Might be small projects, might be large projects. For example, you might have a marketing manager that's not a certified project manager, but still ends up completing a number of different projects. Like, they might have to oversee some sort of website design or some kind of conference planning or something along those lines. So in today's business world, it's really common to find what we like to call occasional and professional project managers executing initiatives that are using really different tools and different techniques to build and manage both simple and complex project schedules. So what we're showing right here is this Microsoft Project Schedule page. And for those that are familiar with Microsoft Project Desktop application, this is going to be a very similar screen as what you're used to seeing on the desktop. But again, this is online on the server, and again, this is connected to this central repository. So you could still mark your projects complete. You can still, edit it right in the browser. You're still able to work on it on the desktop application because it is seamlessly integrated from the desktop to the server. But it gives you that schedule management engine, which is really second to none when we're talking about project management. So this could be used for simple projects where you don't need to have cross-project dependencies or any of that fancy stuff. When you just want to just have a simple list of tasks, assign them to specific people, and have these people say whether it's done or not done. or you can get as complex as you need to and have different dependencies and link everything together and make sure that you have this cross project dependencies as well, and you can have thousands of lines of tasks in here. So this type of solution does help you manage both simple and complex projects. Financial management. So earlier in this webinar, we were talking about the importance of completing the right projects on time with the whole portfolio management section while reducing or maintaining budgets. So providing the right type of project financial management is really important to improve the benefits and cost estimating. And as well, you should be able to track the cost performance of the projects over time. So when we're talking about this financial management business imperative, what I'm showing right here is a custom project detail page that we develop that has custom fields that are going to standardize the collection of all the cost data that's important to your organization. And this is being driven right from the project schedule. So you can have these decision support tools to effectively allocate all the different funds. And then if you want to really take it a step further, I'm going to talk about this a little further down the webinar, but you should have this integration with financial systems to really drive project accounting data. So the ideal PPM solution to really offer this flexible infrastructure that helps standardize the collection of this cost and benefit data for every project that's being requested. So the PMO should be able to just simply add these custom fields to an online business case form and capture this, whether it's single year or multiple year, and also estimate what the benefit value of these projects are, especially if benefit management is part of this financial management, which is one of the PMO's practice areas. An added bonus is that you should be able to have the ability to embed these templates within whatever business cases or whatever type of data that you're looking to collect. So, for example, this page that I'm showing you, it's theoretically a template that you can assign it to a particular project type. So every time you're running and creating this project type, this type of page is automatically created so that it's less time building this type of reporting structure and more time just doing the projects. So after you capture the data, the analyst should be able to drive these metrics such as ROI and internal rate of return or MPV or whatever else is important. Maybe you're doing earned value as well to better understand and communicate what the project's financial value is. So the next section is time and task management. So again, it's very important to deliver the right projects on time. This is all part of reducing or maintaining the project budget. So by properly having this time and task management, this will allow you to really forecast what your company or what your PMO or what your project teams can do year after year. For example, that we have a customer of ours that decided to implement Microsoft Project Online and enable time tracking. And this was something new to the organizational company culture, where they didn't necessarily think that time tracking was important. But from the executive perspective, they said that they wanted to understand what type of time and task management is going on a project by project basis. So what they did was they implemented it on January 1st, 2017, and then they mandated that everybody tracks time. And what they were able to do is track enough time for the entire year that made the following year forecasting that much easier because they can work off of past year's averages. So keeping in mind with why this is important, you should really make sure your PPM solution has this really easy to use interface, right? Keep it simple. That's the most important thing. Since the time entry system is really used across the entire organization, it needs to be simple, it needs to be familiar, it needs to be intuitive, and this needs to be really the place where everybody just goes, enters the time, and doesn't worry about anything else. You should really have this single source to be able to report on working and non-working time, so that you streamline the process to capture and update the information used for example, operations and analysts and control. You should be able to have the ability to capture projects and operations and admin time, so that, for example, that you're not just capturing project time, but also non-project time, such as vacation days and sick days and other times like paid time off. You should be able to have this time reporting system that scales to support high volumes of transactions, and really at the end of the working week or the month, doesn't matter, but all the data is easily streamlined. And I'm going to talk about this on another imperative, but again, you're starting to see that all these capabilities kind of flow into each other, is that you should have integrations with other line of business systems, so that organizations may prefer to have one system for time and task entry maybe in one department, and then another department needs to have time entry in another solution. So the solution that you decide should have very, very flexible APIs, so that you can determine where do you want your users to enter the time and just keep them in what they want to use, and then just funnel the data so that the finance teams, they just get the data. Because the finance teams or the accounting teams, the CFO, for example, the CFO doesn't care where they enter the time. They just want to make sure that the time is being entered, and that the time worked times the rate, it gives them how much they need to pay for payroll, for example. So it's less where people enter time. It's more about, well, can we integrate it so that we can drive the user adoption and capture the specific data that we're looking for. So the next section is collaboration. And this is a really interesting concept, because right now we're living in this global economy, and the workplace right now is as mobile as it's ever been before. And keeping your project team on the same page is really becoming more challenging as the time goes on, because people are working in different tools, and people are working in different time zones, and people are working in different locations. So staying on top of the latest technology, improving your team with the right solution, will lead to delivering projects on time and maintaining transparency and keeping control, again, across all of the project portfolios. And this could be done really through your PPM solution, by ensuring that you can synchronize with internal websites. You should be able to allow social capabilities and enhance everyday communication. So this is a demo. Let me play this right here. So this is a demo that I was presenting for this ProjectCon presentation that I was telling you about at the beginning of the webinar. And what my presentation was about was driving PMO organization by leveraging the cloud. And the way that I was showcasing that was showing you all these different tools that Microsoft Office 365 and Microsoft 365 as a whole has to offer. So what I'm showcasing right here, and I'm going to play this video one more time, is this is Microsoft Teams that has Power BI and Project Online, showing you right now that the first screen was a report that your team could log in and see, and this is all from one location. And this screen is showing you the tab of Microsoft Project Online, showing you that project center. And we also have another tab showing you SharePoint with the project request. And again, this is all housed in the social media site that that Microsoft is calling the next generation of social media so that you can work and collaborate together. So the reason why I opened up this little chat tab over here is that your teams can talk about specific things that they see, and everyone can stay on the same page. So again, if you have some interest on this whole Microsoft Teams integration with Power BI and Microsoft Project Online and SharePoint, we have, I think in this demo, I integrated together something like 10 to 15 different applications. I would be more than happy to showcase, so please just send me an email afterwards, or just come and register to one of the project cons, and you get to see this firsthand. So the next section is risks and issues. So it's interesting when we talk about risks and issues, because this is one of the things that's really inevitable. What was it? Benjamin Franklin said that two things are evident in life: that there's death and taxes. Well, there's something that's evident with project management, is that you're going to have issues and you're going to have risks. So in the life cycle, you're going to face any number of issues and risks. And it's important that you have this tool, that you have this solution, that you have this process that helps you prevent, identify, and mitigate really any business or project related issue and risk. And being able to define that is really gonna really help the success of the project. So just like the carpenter needs all the tools to build the furniture, project managers also need to trust the tools that they have. So this right here is showing you a risk log that's embedded right in the Microsoft Project Online project server, which leverages the SharePoint functionality. So risks and issues are going to be very similar in the way that they're structured. So you should have the ability to define the standard way to assess all the risks for any new project that you have coming on. You should be able to have different risk ratings and strategic values and financial values that are all associated to the particular risks and issues. You should be able to standardize this project risk and issue collections so that your teams are not filling in information that can't be reported on, because everything is a lot easier to report if everything is in the same type of structure. And then at the same time, that establishing this proper risk and issue resolution and escalation really helps identify who's the individual, or what's the group of individuals that need to be aware whenever an issue arises or whenever a risk arises. This aims at providing this kind of transparency to all the senior leadership. So the next section is dashboards, and dashboards is something that we hear day in and day out. Providing the right dashboard or providing the right set of reports is probably the #1 reason why an organization would want to set up a PPM solution. So it's one thing when we want to do our jobs more efficiently, but ideally this is being budgeted from the top. And the top wants to know that their business is running properly. So what's the way to do it? Is provide them with the right information. So since there's so much data available to an organization, it's probably difficult for the senior executives to think about how are we going to capture all this data, and how are we going to categorize all this data, and how are we going to understand this data, how are we going to make sense of this. And these are all the decisions that we need to make based on this data. When we don't have the data, we can't make the right decisions. And basic reporting tools for the organization might not make this whole big data world make sense. So business intelligence tools, for example, on the other hand, really take reporting to the next level. And since business intelligence is really rapidly evolving, it would really be wise to make sure that the PPM solution has the capabilities that allow you to read this information from whatever data source. And what would be ideal is that you have a variety of data views, and you have the ability for non-technical resources to be able to just quickly create reports or maybe just receive reports so that they understand what they need to do. And then you should also have this audience-based dashboard, so not everybody gets the same information, and you can set different filters for different audiences. So what I'm showing you over here is this project online, it's a Power BI managed services reporting pack that we give to all of our customers that are enrolled into our managed services. And this reads information from the project online and project server environment so that you have all the data that you need to get going without even having to build the reports, but they're really easily flexible. So for example, you would get your portfolio summary report giving you the view of all the different projects, percent to complete, cost and cost variances, but you also have the, opportunity to go ahead and filter and click through and drill through by the different metadata that you're looking for. So right now I'm looking at all the different projects that, for example, Alex created. And then we might be able to see, so again, this is taking a look into the central repository again and looking at all the projects that were last published. And another report might show you the health of all the projects which are going on. So again, from one view, you don't even have to log into the PPM solution to get the data that's important to make the decision. So let's dive into this report and see, okay, well, here's the project name, and then here's the project owner, and okay, well, look, it looks like there's tasks that have a late start. It looks like there's tasks that still have generic resources. It looks like we have a couple issues, a couple risks. You know what? I need to talk to Alex over here and understand what's going on with this project. So again, having all of this data formulated into one easy to read report really makes things a lot simpler. Okay, so going into the next section is program management. Program management is interesting because when you take a look at it, it combines all the projects that roll up to a specific program. So each project within a program has its own set of goals that, when they're combined together for each other, deliver the forecasted benefits of the overall program. And it's really important with the PPM solution that you're looking at that it has the ability to put things into programs. And this is just one simple way that I can show you over here. So again, that we have this project center, and we have ways you can see that we're grouped by the different program, and you should be able to have a PPM solution that provides your organization with tools to really initiate, plan, and manage these large programs so that you understand what the underlying projects lead to so that you have a successful conclusion. And it's important to ensure that PMOs can centralize the collection of all of these project requests and metadata and collect them in a program level business case, and also run this what if scenario on the program at the what if at the almost like portfolio analysis, but for the program level. And then also to have this detailed schedule for the different projects that will affect the overall program, and then to allow a program manager to consolidate all projects into a single master program plan. And if anyone is familiar with Microsoft Project, that does an exceptional job at that. So the next section is arguably could be one of the most important out there, along with Essential Repository. But again, all these are important. But recently, the trend over the past couple years, it's that there's just so many different tools, so many different solutions from many different organizations and all many different departments. Everything is just, everyone has their own tool set. Everyone has their own idea of how they need to manage projects or enter the time or get, certified in this particular, world. So when you think about this, that the conventional methods that to deal with multiple tools in project and portfolio management, it became really, really tedious. And an integration solution can be used with multiple tools like HR tools and finance tools and sales tools to bring all the relevant data that we want from all these external tools and roll them up to the portfolio level. And one of the use cases that we've seen over the time is being able to integrate, for example, other agile tools to this Microsoft project world, which is, at one point was seemed only a waterfall tool. And I know that Microsoft has done some innovations over the past couple months to kind of introduce the world of agile with some out of the box integrations, for example, with Microsoft Planner. But for example, if you're using some other solutions like Jira version 1, there's no real seamless way that you can integrate that really from day one. And what happens if you are using Jira Visual Studio Team Services, but then you also have ServiceNow, for example, which is taking ticketing requests, and maybe you have another solution like Salesforce or something else, which is also defining the creation of a project, maybe from an opportunity win. It all depends on how the organization wants to be structured. But what we have right here is this is a custom solution that Trusted IT Group has built on top of Project Online, which we call 60i, which is the integration solution. And you can see right here that you can have multiple sources. So here we have one which is from the Jira Cloud. We have another one which is from Visual Studio Team Services. And this interface allows you to connect multiple tools to this Project Online world and start to gather the data that most makes the sense for you. So at the same time, you can have this process oversight. So you have this increased portfolio visibility, connect all the tools and really enhance your project intake governance. You have now increased project controls where you have this enterprise-wide time tracking. So you have insight into project statuses and visibility into agile teams and centralize the data. So let's say we don't care where teams are doing their work. All that we care about is what are they working on? How much have they worked on it? Is it done? Is it not? How much time have they spent? And you can collect all this data by using these type of extensive APIs. And you also have data analytics, so you can stream all this data to a data warehouse, so that you have now data integrity, which really empowers this data-driven decisions. So just to kind of wrap everything up, because I know that we're getting out of time and I want to leave some time for just some questions and comments. Final thoughts. So keep it simple, keep it flexible, is that you should have a way that you can easily configure the solution after the implementation is done, or just have the flexibility so that you can have somebody else administer the solution and you just do the work. You should have this connected work management platform so that you can connect different APIs, you can connect different solutions, you can just have everybody working on the same platform and really enhance the collaboration. You should have something that's enterprise scalable and is not going to bog down because of multiple users and performance. And of course, you should be able to have this programmable platform, which again aligns with this whole API work. So what are some of the next steps that we can think about is following this presentation, you can go to our website, trusteditgroup.com/downloads, or go straight to trusteditgroup.com/critical business imperatives. And you can fill out the form, download the white paper. It has these 12 critical business imperatives your PPM solution needs to meet in a nice ebook PDF format for you, so you can download it and read it on your own. And at the same time, you can also request. You can either send me an email back. I know Jason has been reaching out to everyone. You can go ahead and reply back to him, or send an email to info@trusteditgroup.com. We'd be more than happy to provide a free PPM solution assessment and help you make some decisions about your PPM solution going forward. So thanks everybody, and I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and we can go ahead and answer some questions. Thank you.